Welcome to Three Count Commentaries. So, uh, Alicia Fox. So Alicia Fox has a Twitch now, in which she's yelling about stuff on this Twitch account. And I've come across a trove of videos of Alicia Fox talking about her time in WWE, her battle with alcoholism, certain issues with other female wrestlers in the locker room, etc. And she's giving me very much Whitney Houston vibes. That being said, though, I'm going to be in so much trouble when the Divas stands finally find this channel. Anyway, if the Sasha Banks stuff wasn't enough. I didn't know that Alicia Fox had like crazy fans too, but apparently she does. Anyway, because of these crazy fans, I was able to come across the Alicia Fox trove of videos, and I've decided to bring it to you. So we are going to go through the nutty Alicia Fox videos and see if she makes any sense and if she makes any good points. So let's see. Let's start with this one, which is apparently about Lillian Garcia.
Pay my bills for sure. I had also experienced this total diva living in reality and trying to pay my bills for sure. Yeah, I'll do a storyline about my family and exploit them and their drinking problems. No problem. And then I'll go cry on another Divas podcast who has more of a taste for hypersensitive behavior for her own show. And she kind of made me cry, and that was the only podcast I did. You guys know probably what I'm talking about. And I just really remember leaving that podcast. This is the backstory. Feeling like, man, why did she have to go so hard on me like that? That was just I didn't have the tools. I didn't know I was an alcoholic. I'm like, did this girl see me coming? She tried to hurt my feelings. And then get more rape on my name. But guess what? That was already exploited anyway. Why would I want it? I had...
Oh, okay. All right. She was talking about the time she did Lillian Garcia's podcast, apparently. And Lillian Garcia's podcast, a lot of it is about personal struggle. And if you have some kind of deep personal struggle, that's kind of what the point of the podcast is. And she took it, apparently, as Lillian Garcia was using her for ratings, quote unquote, which I don't know if it's ratings really in the podcast realm. I guess you could say views or listens or whatever the case may be. But they worked together for a long time. I would imagine that Lillian Garcia probably thought they were friends and didn't think of it as a big deal because it was public. It's not like it was an issue, and plus alcoholism does run in the family. Some people typically, when they do have situations with alcohol, it was because a dad or an uncle or somebody like that also was involved with alcohol. And sometimes they tend to make that thing public as a way of helping work through it. As somebody who has worked with alcoholics for a long time, that is something that they eventually get to when they admit that they are an alcoholic. It always comes out that granddad was an alcoholic. They have a brother, an uncle, or whatever that was also an alcoholic. And it's not really an exploitation as much as it is talking about how this thing is a generational curse sometimes. So, but you can't really, it's hard to know what's going on with people when they're going through that. And also, the time in which you share your information could actually dictate your mind state. If she wasn't completely clean when she was doing this podcast with Lillian Garcia, then she might have felt exploited, But Alicia Fox's battle with alcohol is why she's not in WWE now. She was sent home in 2019 because she kept showing up to shows drunk. And actually, she's the reason why Arn Anderson got fired, because she apparently showed up to a house show drunk. But I'm pretty sure we'll get to that story eventually in this pile of videos. So here is, I guess, Alicia Fox, the person who's posting the videos is actually giving captions so I can actually understand what she's about to yell about. So apparently this one is about her having an eccentric personality, and she doesn't like being called crazy.
No. Nervous, because then people are going to call me crazy. And I'm like, no, this is just my personality, a human characteristic. Unfortunately, it's just sometimes, because sometimes it is sometimes nervous, you
Okay,
know,
she's
because then
making
people.
sense there. I get it that she has a weird personality. Okay. This one is about fans thinking that she's a failure and WWE's making it environment making it worse through Total Divas. So I guess it's another story about her alcoholism.
You know, what I used to think, because of, I don't know, wherever my character is called crazy. You know what I used to think, to be honest with you guys, is I used to think that you guys thought I was a complete failure, like a total FUCK up, you know, like I felt that like you guys really knew me through wrestling, and that, you know, because of my disease and because of the way like Total Divas, I'm not finger pointing, I'm just putting more environment out there. You know, like I was playing, I had a drinking problem on the show. I had bad relationships on the show. And yeah, I know it's a reality TV show, but like, you know, in real time, this was my real life. Like, I did not know anything. I didn't even know I was an alcoholic. So that's a whole nother layer. So, you know, I played into that character, and then say it's like I went to TV that day, and then the writers are like, "Oh, well, so who do you have beef with?" And we're trying to like give them all this like extra content so they can write great stuff for us to say stupid shit, like, "Oh, I'm such a f up drunk, you know, Paige, can you help me with my drinking problem?" "Oh no, we have a match with the Bella Twins." It's like, what the fuck? It just was not consistent, you know? And that, I'm going to change to my opinion page. There you go. So, because I lived it, you know what I'm saying? That's what Dark Side of the Ring didn't live. They didn't live that. They weren't in the opponent's seat. So it's just interesting to me, because I'm like, I want to make content and make scary movies.
Wait a minute. What do Dark Side of the Ring got to do with this? Look, I got most of that. And most of it does make sense. You know, she was going through a real issue with alcoholism, and they used it as a storyline on Total Divas because, you know, it's supposed to be reality TV, and reality TV is supposed to have some level of reality to it. So apparently they decided to, I don't know, I didn't watch Total Divas, man. I'm an adult male. What the hell am I doing watching Total Divas? I don't know nothing about that show. But if that's true, it should have been understood. Now, of course, you need to, which is weird because Paige had problems with alcohol too and drugs. So that's a lot of that is an environment when it comes to pro wrestling. And, you know, it's very unfortunate that that's the case, but, you know, it is what it is. Now, this one is about WWE contracts exploited and silenced her. Okay. Let's see how this goes.
Some of those machines, I signed a contract that said they could exploit me. I can't even bitch about it. So that's why I'm sad. Not anymore. Because guess what? I figured out how to express myself with you guys right now. So I don't care who looks at our stream and has an opinion. Guess what? I got a P.O. box coming. They can write a letter. And then I'll read it to y'all.
Her internet connection needs to need help.
Okay? I'm not dying again like that based on rumors.
Wait, did she say she's not dying again? She said she's not dying again? I don't know. Anyway, the idea that she's that the exploitation clause in the contracts, that's just legal language. She's overthinking it. Sometimes people tend to overthink these things. Now she does have a beef with the WWE and the female roster because she felt like they didn't support her while she was in rehab. So we're gonna listen to this.
Did everybody?
This rant because I have no idea. It seems like some of them where she's pretty normal, like it might have happened earlier. I heard this thing was 2 hours, so maybe earlier in the rant she was making sense and things were cool. But then as she talked more and more and more, she got more and more upset and became more detached. At least that's from what it sounds like. I'm not using every single piece of video that was put out there. I'm just looking basically at the face of Alicia Fox, and some of them are she's relaxed, and then now like this one, she looks to be very like she's yelling into the microphone.
Ain't nobody called me when they found out I had to go to rehab. Just saying. Nobody knew where I was. Apparently the machine said I didn't like y'all. I don't know. I was too drunk to use my darn social media because y'all say I'm crazy, but so did everybody else. So somebody give me a microphone that big, okay? Not anymore. I got my own. All right. In my opinion. All right. So now I'll let y'all speak. Okay. Y'all go.
Okay. I don't know what that's about. I genuinely don't know what that's about. Now, apparently she went into some stuff about black skin and makeup. We're going to skip that. I mean, I'm a male. I don't care about that. But it is, I think, a pretty important point to make, that if you're going to be dealing with different skin colors, skin tones, you can't use the same stuff on everybody. So I'll give her, without even listening to it, I'll give her a +1 for that. She's talking about wrestling. I don't know. So here is another situation where she's, I guess, I don't know if she's yelling. She seems to be pretty normal here, but I don't know until I play the video. What about needing to get out of the business due to her alcoholism? Oh my goodness, she's yelling.
I knew I needed to get out of that business, y'all. I knew I needed to get out before it killed me, because once I realized that it was killing me and I was drinking myself and dying by myself, and then, even the girls that I trust and shared a locker room still stab me in the back by myself. Just kidding. But maybe, I don't know. This situation was kind of really not cool, how it ended up working out. So that really changed this particular story of events with this particular individual, because, when we got there, what happened for me is like, one of the opponents in the match decided that they couldn't match, So, like, this match we had been working on all weekend, like, which, I mean, I never liked memorizing matches, so I don't care if whatever. I guess an alcoholic would know what a hair of the dog had to, like, get me, like, a Red Bull, because I was at the point of my illness that, like, I don't even know if I even would have even been, I don't even, F-U-C-K, no,
What?
Either way, my point is I knew.
She's rambling. I have no idea what she's talking about on that, but I think it was attached to a story about house shows and drinking in between shows. That's what it sounds like. This stuff, for starters, these are only like 1 to 2 minute blocks of video, and watching the whole thing, I'll probably be able to get entire context. But when she doesn't even understand where she was going with that point, how could I know? I have no idea what she's talking about at this point. Alicia Fox is all over the place. But here is another piece, I guess, about WWE and her complaining about them using personal issues and storylines, I think. Let's see.
You guys are my audience, and we are a community. And, like, I just don't think it's fair anymore to hide from you guys, because I think these stories are going to get me fired from WWE. Guess what? I did get fired. Actually, no, I didn't. My contract expired, which I don't even know what really that means, because it was like 2 days before. So then I guess I got the phone call that, yeah, you're not going to renew your contract. So maybe they did fire me. Good for you. Do you like that credibility now? Put yourself over again. Who cares? I'm breathing, and thanks for paying for my recovery. Anyway, but it's not really the hard feelings, but that's just how I'm feeling this moment. And I don't think any social media told me that I need to temp down my opinion. So that's why I'm going to give it to you.
Okay. I didn't get that. I mean, she said that her contract expired, but she was told that her contract is going to expire and they weren't going to renew it. Technically, that really isn't firing you. Firing you is ending the contract early, but they let the contract run out. All right. She was, I believe, in WWE for 17 years. She was in WWE for a long time. And of course, a lot of that time was her in rehab. The later years was her in and out of rehab, and her not being used much after the Divas era. But Alicia Fox had a hell of a run. I remember somebody said that she was a legend the other day. What was this, like 2 years ago or something like that, when she was announced for like a Raw thing? And I flipped over like, what? Alicia Fox is no legend. She's just a veteran? I don't know. But she's something else. Anyway, I guess she's finally talking about the live event that changed her career. I guess we're finally going to get here. So let's see what she has to say about this.
But no, I'm actually telling you about this match. This because it actually changed my whole life, really. It got me... this is after I broke my tailbone. So this is what got me into rehab, which is... I'm forever grateful. I'm forever grateful that company had that support. I'm forever grateful. Like, I could just... I'm not going to cry over, like, the gift that was. Those aren't those appropriate tears. But I'll tell you, but no, I'm actually telling you about this match. This because it actually changed my whole life, really. It got me...
What? Okay, let's go.
The match changed because one of our people said that they didn't feel good or had vertigo or something like that. So we went from being like semi-main or after intermission, which whatever, to first, which is fine because whatever, we'll just get on the road earlier to get to TV. And so then with the match changing, that meant the part changed. Like, I was still feeding the comeback. Everything still was working out. So we're changing. So in this part where I'm crazy and trying to just get the facts, like, if I were inebriated or like, I was there at that point with people I was safe with, they sat and walked the match with me. Like, I went and I had the match, all the things. But from now, this is the rumor mill, because my person... like, didn't feel good, so they were balleting and everything. So it's just confusing, I got confused on, like, what did I do? I was like, oh, shit, like, and I'm like, wait, I'm whatever.
Wait a minute. So she said that she wasn't drunk at the live event. She was just confused because somebody who was supposed to be in the match wasn't there, so they had to change the match. So the match changed on the fly. And that confused her, but she wasn't drunk. Is that what she's trying to say here? That feels like, to me, that's what she's trying to say. I'm not sure if I believe that.
I guess the rumor mill is everybody was talking by talent viewing and saying that I look drunk. I look like I'm bumping crazy. I had no idea. I'm in the match, guys. Like, I mean, I don't know. I was, like, kind of rushed and stressed about changing the match in front of, like, I don't even know. We did that. Like, I don't know. The girls, like, I mean, we did the match. Like, I was with the producers. I don't know what's going on. Here's where the mic is about to drop. I, like, don't know how to really put this, but this is true. Like, by the time I got out of my match, like, we raise our hands or lose or something, and I'm being, like, taken out by the medical team, like, Peach and Dr. Amen, and they give me a field sobriety test in the training room, and it's, like, no Arn, no producer, Seth Rollins, like, Braun Strowman are, like, popping their heads in there. They're asking me, like, what day it is, what city we're in. I'm like, are you guys, like, y'all?
She was drunk. I mean, clearly, if you don't even remember what was happening and you couldn't figure out what was going on, you were probably drunk. If you weren't drunk, you may remember this a little bit clearer, especially considering this is the match that changed your life and it was at a live event. You don't remember whether you won or lost. You don't remember who was in the room. You just remember Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman poking their heads and asking you, like, what day it is and stuff. Maybe they thought you had a concussion, which also could have been the issue. You could have had a concussion issue, but which is always, that's still possible too. It could have been both. It's not an either or situation. It's not like you could have had like a serious head injury or you were drunk. It could have been both. It could have been that you had a serious head injury, but people checking in on you. I saw a lot of the Divas saying they're very angry at Seth Rollins right now because of this. Braun Strowman too. Oh, he's so shitty. How dare he goes in there and ask her what day it is. It's like, well, if he was concerned about her and wanted to know like how her cognitive abilities were at the time, then, which is another thing when it comes to people with mental illness, asking them a simple question like what day it is may flummox them. You believe it or not, people like who are like are in manic episodes or having serious schizophrenic issues, they may not know what day it is. They may not know where they are, So asking them a question like that, it can flummox them sometimes. And it's very, very strange. But until you actually have experience with those kinds of people, you may not think too much about it. So if she does have a issue with alcoholism, and maybe she might have been drunk or concussed at the time, I can see why she wouldn't remember. But that's just, it's called being a poor historian. And it makes sense. And people who have serious substance abuse issues, typically you don't take their word for things, which is why, when you post, when she's doing Twitch and stuff like this, you kind of want to make sure that there's at least some objective reality to this thing. So objectively, what ended up occurring after this is Arn Anderson got fired. Arn Anderson was her producer. And apparently he was the one who allowed her to go out there in the state that she was in. And again, you've heard her talk about it. She didn't know what was going on. And so clearly she was in no, whether she was concussed or drunk or just plain confused, she had no business being out there. All right. But Arn Anderson, who was really long-term veteran in WWE, was held accountable for that, which probably was the right decision if she was that messed up. Somebody got to get fired. She could have hurt somebody, but she wasn't done talking. So
they give me this thing, this test. I walk out, and my producers didn't even know where I was. I had no protection. I don't know who came first, if it was the gossip that made the medical team do that, but I was embarrassed. My coworkers worked a story, embarrassed me. There's women that were there by the thing. They could tell me what happened. They ain't fucking tell me nothing. That's fine. No content, no context, no environment. So that's why I'm so surprised watching at Dark Side of the Ring, able to tell like these other details of a story, and I can't tell y'all the setting of what this was. I am not crazy.
I'll tell you this. Also worked with a lot of people who are mentally unwell. The first thing that typically happens is they say they're not crazy. They'll say a bunch of things that don't make sense. They don't have any memory of certain events, how you came to be where you are right now. You don't know what day it is. You're ranting and raving, but you're not crazy. It's like, sorry, you're pretty much, you got to throw your hands up at that point. You're like, okay, we're off to the races.
So they give me
we're off to the races. This person is out of it. Okay. But, here she's talking about her producers not knowing where she was, where she just explained that the producers wouldn't know where she was because she was taken away by the medical team. So the producers are continuing to produce the rest of the show. So where you are is with the medical team, and they probably know that, but they have to work the rest of the show. You are in the right hands if you were with medical, because clearly something was wrong.
That were there by the thing. They could tell me what happened. They ain't fucking tell me nothing. That's fine. No content, no context, no environment. So that's why I'm so surprised watching at Dark Side of the Ring, able to tell like these other details of a story, and I can't tell y'all the setting of what this was. I am not crazy. Do not say I'm crazy. You can say I'm crazy, because that shit is crazy. I'm describing crazy. Because, I don't know. I still can't really figure it out. But that's what moved me on that post, because I was just like, whoa, like, this is shocking to me. It took me off guard. So
I understand that it was embarrassing. I absolutely understand that it was embarrassing. There was another issue where she got into it with Travis Brown at SummerSlam or something like that. The husband of Ronda Rousey. I don't think she discussed that in this rant, but she might have. But it was on YouTube. Apparently she got all in his face and stuff. She was drunk then too. So she's had like a history of these problems, but she's also still talking about the live event where she apparently was sent home, and how she hasn't been able to talk to her producer about it, who is Arn Anderson.
So yeah, like my producers, like the main like people who are supposed to give the proper information to the office, like the person I trusted, Mr. Anderson, I could talk to his direct. So yeah, then, I can talk to him. I can talk to Arn. I can talk to him. I love him. I still haven't even been able to talk to him about this, and it's so killing me. And that was a bridge built water deep, I guess, and I went to the locker room. I packed up my stuff. All the girls came in, like, acting like they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know why I was sad. They were like, what's going on, Fox? What's going on? And I'm like, half of them were in the match. Half of them were by the locker room. I don't know. Y'all tell me. No honesty. But, hey, you got loyalty, which is on the list. Actually, didn't mind throwing my body around for you guys. Not just in that. Like, it was just so triggering. Already, like, from this social environment of, like, it being okay, even as a company, to not even put a barrier around, like, if people are drinking and, like, just get the fans out, It's not even about that. It's what that is. It's it's just, like, it's an event for people to get content. And, like, even still in that age, whatever was filmed on camera is still collateral. It's important. And it can be miscued. And
I don't know what's going on at this point, bro. I'm lost. I'm lost. But here is something that I think is pretty important too. She was talking about in this clip, I think I'm about to play, how normal drinking was in the environment. So this is how she didn't realize that she had a problem with alcohol.
Because, again, I didn't know I had a drinking problem, so I probably would not have even said anything like, oh, well, I shouldn't have done this, or I wouldn't have said anyone was there drinking with me. I wouldn't have said any, because I had no clue. Drinking there was so normal. I didn't even see it. Like, so that's why I was like, what are y'all talking about? Me alcohol? Like, y'all stop. Like, I've been here 15 years. Putting over girls. Like, of course, I think I deserve a drink. Hello?
At least that was sensible. What she just said was sensible. Now, you know that in WWE, for a long time, I don't know if they had changed the rules by 2019, even though I'm probably sure they have, that they couldn't smoke weed. And so you know the whole thing about if you can't smoke weed, you go to alcohol. And so a lot of wrestlers turn to alcohol and other pills due to how stringent WWE's testing was, which is very interesting because you hear on one hand that WWE's testing is a joke. There's nothing in it that where they actually catch people who are doing stuff. Then at the same time, you hear somebody get popped for weed and you think it's not that big of a deal. That's what actually Doink got fired for. Like all the pills and stuff he did, he didn't catch him on any of that. He got fired for having weed in his system. So, I mean, that says a lot. Now, the guy was doing a ton of stuff. Weed was just like the one thing on top of it. I wouldn't want to wrestle with a guy who is high because, any type of inebriation in that type of environment is probably not good for you. But at the same time, though, when it comes to a painkiller or a relaxer or something like that, you can do worse than weed. Alcohol probably is worse, if we're being honest. But so her saying like, hey, it was an environment where people, pretty much everybody's drinking and everybody drinks. A shot hits everybody different. That's one of the things you need to learn when you were in college or something like that. Is body weight, temperament, all this sort of stuff is affected by you drinking or whatever, and not everybody handles it the same way. And I've been trying to get people, I've implored people when it comes to that, because they think like, oh, I would just sit and have a drink with my friend, and your friend's 240 pounds and you're 190. Sorry, you drink the same amount of drinks as him, you're going to be wasted. All right, you're going to be wasted completely differently than he will. And that's the difference between men and women when they sit down and they drink together, is that man usually weighs more and the absorption of alcohol is different in his system than it is in the woman's system. So if they sit down, they both have 3 drinks, she's going to be a lot more drunk than he is. And that's unfortunate, but it's reality. You know, it's basic science. Like it's just science. Alcohol doesn't affect everybody the same way. It's the same thing with weed, and some people have cannabis use disorder where they actually have a mental illness that is caused by the using cannabis, and they won't. Of course, you'll have people say, "Oh, that's not true." It's like, it is true, man. If not having it affects your mood or your thought process, you're an addict. Sorry. Hate to break it to you, but it is what it is. Now, this clip apparently is Alicia Fox talking about WWE not having enough support for the wrestlers.
Better equipped with how to give support to these athletes, these independent contracting athletes that keep paying for rental cars, paying for their careers. I paid for my career. I don't owe that machine nothing. And that's how I feel. And everybody goes, oh, we don't talk crap about WWE. Good, don't. I'm not talking crap. I've been there 17 consecutive years. That crap is the only crap I know. I'm just talking from wherever they threw me out of the bus. I ain't got no clue. I'm just trying to hitch ride home. Have you guys seen Sanity?
What?
Drop me off.
What?
Drop me off. Thank you. Do not put me on the crazy bus, and I dare any of the audience members believe if they ever have a bus full of crazy wrestlers, you turn that bus around. You jump out of your car. You take those stones and you throw them right at those glass houses. You say, listen, machine, you free our wrestlers. Free our wrestlers. If you see a wrestling machine bus that does not look fit for humans, you get out of your car. Get out of your effing minds. Out of your mind right now. Out of your mind, car. And you stand in front of that bus and you represent yourself as a being. And you say, you free those human beings. You are not going to kill my wrestlers. Let them wrestle for free. Let them wrestle how they want. Give them their name. Let them wrestle how they want. Free my wrestlers.
She broke.
You tell that machine.
She is destroying whatever internet connection she has and her connection to reality. Both of them are very tentative right now. She's going off. Wait, I'm gonna let her finish her rant though.
Listen, you bus driver, get off. Take a lunch, buddy. You look like you need a sandwich. You feed him. If you share him your lunch.
What?
You give that bus driver better
I'm sitting here, I'm trying to figure out. Okay. She free the wrestlers. Don't give the bus driver a sandwich. If you see a bus full of pro wrestlers, you tell that bus machine to free the wrestlers, let them wrestle for free, give them their name, and then give the bus driver a sandwich. Does that sound like... I don't even understand what the analogy or the metaphor is. What is the point of this? You know, if you just want to say WWE has too much control, is that her point? If that's the point, then okay, we can all agree to that maybe WWE has too much control over the talent. But I don't know where she was going with this. And she's not done. That's the crazy thing. She's not done yelling. So let's get to her yelling. Let's get to her yelling again about this.
You give that bus driver, because he hasn't eaten either. He's driving that crap around the country with the crap of the crap that makes you think looks good. Decked in glittering rhinestones and big damn feather little woos and stuff like that.
Yeah, we don't know what the hell's talking about. There's some other stuff about getting on the bus, getting off the bus, some stuff about the bus driver. Man, what on earth? What on earth, bro? I hear this kind of stuff all day, 5 days a week, bro. So I'm telling you right now, it's a struggle to get through some of these interviews and stuff that you do with these people, man, because they say the weirdest stuff. They say stuff just off the cuff. But you got to let them express themselves. I mean, the best way to figure out if something is wrong with somebody is just to listen to them. Not to just attack. Half the time, just let them talk. And you'll figure it out at that point. There's a lot of stuff that if you just let them talk, you'll hear it. So everybody who's like, Alicia Fox isn't crazy. I'm like, okay, have you listened to her? Like, have you actually spoken with this woman? I didn't know she was crazy until I watched these videos. Now I'm 100% think that she needs to be in a hospital. Like she needs medication. Like legit. I don't know if she's taking any right now or something like that, but she definitely needs a secure place. And her ranting and raving on Twitch, it can help because it's somewhat therapeutic, but it's also kind of exploitative in a legitimate way, in so much as she's not sure what she's saying, and you can actually hear it in her voice how she just says, I don't know what's going on. And it's like, well, did somebody just put a camera in front of her and just press record? And because it doesn't seem like it. It seems like she actually sat down and had an idea of what she wanted to talk about. And of course, because she's going off the cuff, it's meandering, which is often happens. I mean, if you just sit and talk long enough on, subjects, you'll go on tangents. But it seems to me like she's just, I don't know, like she's going off. But she got some smoke for the Bella twins too. So let's see what she got to say about them.
You gotta tell me I'm crazy? No! I wore that when y'all called me crazy. Guess what? Sandra Gray helped me make this little logo, which is like what I keep saying, that the twins didn't care that I was on their hats. They did not care. They didn't care. So I don't know. Do y'all care? Well, I don't know. Because at that point, I didn't care because the machine had taught them not to care about characteristics like that. The machine teaches us not to notice friends are in an addiction. It teaches us to get on the bus and be happy with no clothes on. Why? Because our characters and our props are 10 buses back. We don't even know how to be you and I, normal. Woo! No clothes on. So what do you think a bunch of quacks are talking about on the bus? But we can't talk because if you're not in the right group, you ain't gonna eat. So now imagine the bus driver. What outfit do you think he's got on? You think he's dressed up like a bus driver? Or do you think he's dressed up just happy? You think he just dressed with a smile? You got
I don't. Okay, so it's something to the effect of she was helping the Bella twins with their gear. And she felt like she should have been paid for that, but she wasn't. Or she was on their gear. It was something. Back when she was teaming up with the Bella twins. And they didn't care that she wasn't being compensated, or they didn't... Something else to some... I don't know. There's also that they didn't tell her that she was dealing with addiction. How the hell are they supposed to know? They're not with you like all day, every day. They don't know. If they see you drinking, they assume that might be your first drink of the day. Who knows? It might have been your eighth. Nobody has any idea that they could tell you that you're in an addiction. And plus, if somebody did try to tell you that you were an addict, you'd have probably minimized it, because that's what they do. Or you'll probably get mad at them, which is what she's doing essentially by saying that nobody told me anything. It's like, what are they supposed to tell you? You don't want to throw yourself on the barbecue and say that if you feel like I have a problem, tell me. Because some people are very sensitive to these issues, and they overthink things. Like, you could be perfectly fine, but they see, like, every time I see you, you're drinking. It's like, oh, but this is the first, like, you see me at like 8 o'clock at night or whatever. So you might want to chill. But here she is talking about Total Divas again. So apparently she doesn't like Total Divas.
It is the machine. I didn't know the value of having a story or a history, or the idea of what knowing your history from your beginnings look like. I didn't know the value of having a story or a history, or the idea of what knowing your history from your beginnings look like, because I would have never exploited my family's perspective for that reality show. I would have never like put them in that situation, you know, and they did, you know, they unwillingly were there. And I don't know, that's no one's fault. It's just what it is, the machine.
All right. So she was asked to do basically a talk about, you know, a talk about alcoholism, I guess. And I guess her family was involved with this. But there's another part of here where she discusses wanting to be a mentor. She also says she wanted to be a producer if they asked her. I'm not going to go back and try to find that video. Matter of fact, I might. But it's hard because, yeah, you feel exploited because you were in the middle of an addiction and you were asked to do something that you agreed to do, and now you regret doing it, which happens a lot to people. They're in the middle of stuff, then they agreed to do something, and then when their mind are a little bit clearer, they're like, man, I shouldn't have done that. And I definitely think that if the company had an idea that she was an alcoholic, then maybe they shouldn't have recorded all of that stuff, and they should have at least let her go to rehab first. But WWE is all about this kind of thing. Remember, they tried to get I think it might have been Becky or Rhonda or somebody. They tried to do a documentary on their pregnancy, and they were like, no, like, you know, that's weird and it's private, you know. But I think Carmella's actually going to do it, so who knows, you know. But they do the Miz and Mrs. stuff where, you know, Maurice and Miz talk about being pregnant and all this kind of stuff. So part of you realize that something is useful information for reality TV, and they use it. And there is a certain level of exploitation in that, because you do exploit yourself in reality TV, because it is taking your real story, your real life, and sometimes blowing it out of proportion, but taking it to the public. Things that should be private, like who cheated on who was having sex with who, all this kind of stuff, and making it public when it doesn't need to be, and it shouldn't be. Like, the very nature of reality TV is toxic and damaging to personal relationships. So I don't understand why people even participate in it, even people who don't have alcohol problems. Like, if your situation is simply that you're caught between two women, why do you want that documented on television? You know, for money? I guess so, man. But you have these dudes out here who do the Love and Hip Hop and the Black Ink and all this kind of stuff, and they end up looking like idiots afterwards. And who knows, maybe in 10 or 15 years, they're going to turn around and be like, I shouldn't have done that. I didn't want to do that. That was all something that the writers came up with, or whatever the hell. And it's like, well, you have to think about that kind of stuff before you do it, because you can't want to be famous more than you want to be healthy. But I think this is the last clip here. Or at least the last clip that I bookmarked. And let's see what she has to say about this. It's something about stop telling stories. I have no idea what this is about.
I would have never done that, but I just remember, because I know this individual, it was a hard reality. Like, I felt, because the fans told me, man, she like went in on you, and in a sense of like exploiting what, like getting like you're not Ricky Lake, you're not dang Jerry Springer. Like, it's like, why would you do that? Like, we're in a business of exploitation. We signed that agreement. And it's like, and for someone, if you see another wrestler being like over exploitive on each other, you correct them. You say, you stop telling stories. You go, no. You stop telling stories. You know what you were doing. And you just check them. You don't have to point out any details. They might not even know what you're talking about. I didn't even know. I didn't even know I was an alcoholic. I didn't know what they were talking about. But that's why you're the makeup girl, and I'm telling you the parts of how I see the world. So this is if I were the director of Dark Side of the Ring. So we're going to just point out how the locker room must have been, even though we weren't there, even though we've never been there. I'm going to say this is how the ring must have been. Okay, even though we're not there, but we're going to make sure that we interview their opponents, even though they were there. So let's just keep harping on the other elements, and then we'll make a cool thing. Guess what? It worked. It's cool. But still, what do you think my show will look like now that I'm not at WWE? That's what I'm saying. So this is the first start of that, but I think it's...
Okay. So somehow we got mixed up with Dark Side of the Ring again. I don't know what's going on. But it seems like she is frustrated that Dark Side of the Ring manages to tell stories from the opponent's perspective, or people who weren't there and all that kind of stuff. And I think I get it, what she's saying. That sometimes Dark Side of the Ring uses people who were not there to tell the story of the person who was there. And sometimes they talk to their opponents and that kind of stuff. And so when you have all these stories from people who were not there, people who were there but maybe not paying attention, or whatever the case may be, you do get misconstrued stories, things that are wrong, and things that are you get context removed and all that sort of stuff. So, all right, that makes sense. I guess you have to parse your way through it. You really have to physically manage your way through it. But Arn Anderson was fired in March of 2019 for allowing Alicia Fox to wrestle intoxicated at a house show. That's from Fightful. Apparently, we're going to look here, and it says the site notes that Alicia Fox showed up to the event intoxicated. Arn Anderson was the agent for the match that she was in, and he allowed her to compete. WWE chairman Vince McMahon was furious when he found out, according to the report, and that is what led to the Hall of Famer being let go from the sports entertainment company. Since Fightful Select has learned and posted on Monday afternoon that Fox was offered rehab but instead went absent, to the point that several in the company had no idea if she was even offered rehab or where she was. We often told that Fox had been on, quote, thin ice several times in the past, notably after a WrestleMania incident with Travis Brown that year that went public, and another in 2017 that saw her arrive over 2 hours late to a show when she was in line for a push. So apparently, the Travis Brown thing wasn't in 2019, it was in 2017. So apparently she just had a history of not being on the best terms. So she's been sober now for a little while, but just because she's sober doesn't mean that she's well. And people don't understand that just because she's sober doesn't mean that she's well. Here's what she posted on Instagram in 2019. She says, "For a while, I thought I could avoid addressing my recovery of alcohol. I am human, and I realized it was time to be transparent and honest with you, social media, now written on cyber concrete. Today, I'm a few months sober. I've creatively navigated my emotions, snagged some new skills, and I want help. I've learned that alcoholism is a life-threatening situation, and support is available. I figured I can share my insight and be of service to anyone finding it hard to believe that you are important and deserve an opportunity to learn how to live a clean and sober life. It would be an honor to share my hope, strength, and experience." All right. So Alicia Fox has told her side of the story. What do you guys think? Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.